Değerli toplum üyelerimiz, ben Elif Tuncertan, Ottawa Üniversitesi Hukuk ve Siyasal Bilimler Bölümü Political Science and Juris Doctor 2. sınıf öğrencisiyim. Bugün Turkish Society of Canada Derneği adına her yıl geleneksel olarak kutladığımız 1 Temmuz Kanada Günü'nü 2020 yılın içinde bulunduğumuz koşullarına rağmen yine sizleri birlikte kutlamak amacıyla Ottawa Parlamento Binası'ndan sesleniyorum. Ottawa Üniversitesi'nde okuduğum süre boyunca Ottawa Parlamento Binası'nda turist rehberi olarak çalışmaktayım. Ve bugün size House of Commons, Senate Building ve Senate Chamber binalarını İngilizce olarak tanıtacağım. Right now we are on Parliament Hill, so to the left we have the West Block building, in the middle we have Center Block, and on the right we have East Block. East Block is a building with offices for parliamentarians. It's under renovations right now as well, so we won't get too into it. Center Block is where the House of Commons and the Senate used to be housed. However, because of the renovations in this building as well, which are going to take about 10 years, the Senate and the House of Commons are in separate buildings now. So right here at West Block, that's where the House of Commons is held. And the Senate is now held in a different building down by that way, about a 5-minute walk from the hill itself. And it used to be Ottawa's central train station, but we'll get into that later. So the interim House of Commons is in this building, the West Block building. The building itself has offices for parliamentarians. There was just a big courtyard in the middle and they implemented a House of Commons right there. The House of Commons is where members of Parliament gather to introduce, discuss and review bills that become Canadian laws. So the ceiling is made out of 3 layers of glass. The layers of glass actually move with the sunlight so that the lighting is equally distributed on every member of Parliament. So one isn't all bright and then the other one's hiding in the shadows. They wanted it to be equal on all of them. The layers of glass also regulates the temperature, so there's no AC in the House of Commons, and also it regulates the sound, so no outside sounds from Rideau Street or Wellington Street are coming in to the building. So the building obviously has a lot of historic value and rich history, so when they put the new ceiling in, they made sure that it didn't touch the original building at all. The only thing holding up the ceiling are the big pillars around the room. You can see there's also lots of artificial lights on the pillars. That is to make sure that the lighting in the room is absolutely perfect, since the room is also televised. All the discussions, the readings, everything that goes down, you can watch it from the comfort of your house wherever you are in the world. There are 338 members of Parliament. Each is elected by the population in each what we call ridings or constituencies. So basically all of Canada is divided into a bunch of little regions and each region gets to vote for one person. The left side of the House of Commons is for the government party and the right side is for the opposition party. The Prime Minister in particular sits, if you look on the picture, he sits in the first row on the 11th seat down, and the leader of the opposition party sits on the right side, first row, 11th seat down. So they're right in front of each other, they're face to face in the heat of the debate. The big chair in the back is for the Speaker. The Speaker is like the referee of the room. So he gives the members of Parliament the right to speak or not to speak, makes sure that everyone's following procedure and anything that falls into that category. The original Speaker's chair was far too big and far too heavy to bring into this House of Commons. So this chair that they're using now is actually the interim Speaker's chair that was used in 1916 when Center Block was on fire and they had to rebuild the whole building again. Following the Speaker's chair, the long desk in the front is for the clerk. The clerk is like the procedural expert of the room, so if there's ever confusion or they're not sure what to do in a particular instance, the clerk tells them how the rules are supposed to happen, what is supposed to happen and when. The clerk is also responsible for making sure that the votes are counted and counting the votes actually when they're doing votes for bills. And then following the clerk's desk, there is the Hansards. The Hansards are like the scribes. They're responsible for typing out everything that is said in the House of Commons to make sure that there's a written transcript of every single reading or discussion in the chamber. And there's one last seat in the very front of the chamber right at the entrance that's not visible from the photo. However, it's for the Sergeant at Arms. The sergeant at arms is basically like the corporate security officer within the chamber. So anything outside of the chamber is for parliamentary police service, but inside the chamber is for the sergeant at arms. Also, you may notice how the House of Commons chamber is green, and you might be wondering why it's green. The reason why is actually unknown. Basically, in Canada, we follow the same parliamentary system as the British parliamentary system. So the House of Commons there is green, therefore ours is green. But they don't really know anything further than that. They're not sure why they chose the color green. There are, however, some theories. They say maybe they chose green because back in the day it was the cheapest color to produce. They say maybe green represents the grass that the commoners would have stood upon when they would have done their debate back in the day before they even had a chamber. So many different theories. Today, the Senate's legislative role is to introduce bills. However, it is more often used as a second sober thought, where bills are introduced in the House of Commons and then further discussed here. There are 105 seats in the Senate, and the organization and the structure is once again very similar to that of the House of Commons, meaning the government sits on the left side and the opposition sits on the right side. And then we also have the speaker who sits in the very back, and then there's the clerk's desk, and then the Hansards. And the last seat, once again, is not captured in the picture. However, it's for the usher of the Black Rod, who performs similar responsibilities to the sergeant at arms in the House of Commons. The color of the Senate is red for the same reason that the color of the House of Commons is green. Once again, it's tied to our parliamentary system and how we follow the same one as Britain. So once again, they don't know why they chose the color red. There are theories though. They say maybe the color red represents royalty, since the Senate used to be a chamber just for the elite. However, thanks to Canadian democracy today, this is no longer the case. There are some criteria, and that's pretty much all it takes to become a senator and sit in the local chamber. This is the interim Senate building. It has a very rich history. The building itself was built in 1912 and used to be Ottawa's central train station. The big bench in the middle, as you can see in the picture, was one of the original benches used in the train station. As you can see, due to the busy nature of Rideau Street, the train station had to be moved, so the last train that departed from the station was in 1966. From that date until recently, the building was used as a government conference center where cool events such as the G7 conference and many other cool conferences were held a few years ago. People come from all around the world to watch and participate in parliamentary sittings, as well as go on guided tours by parliamentary tour guides, where everything, the history, the procedure, the people is explained in detail. Hopefully, health is restored internationally so that people can come once again and see our parliaments speaking for their own eyes.
Umarım çok yakında bu önemli bina kapılarını tekrar turistlere açabilir. Ben Elif Tuncertan, Turkish Society Canada adına hepinize Ottawa'dan sağlıklı günler diliyorum.